Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
The nation must acquire land. Production of food, clothing, and shelter. Freedom is independent agriculture. Farming is the engine of the nation.
Greetings. This is Patrick Muhammad with Engine of the Nation Report on National Network View. Here's today's report with Crystal X.
Greetings. This is Crystal X with National Network View.
In northwest Alabama, the rolling hills and bright flowers paint the landscape. Agriculture is king, and farmers are in a serious bind.
It's like somebody knocked us on the ground, and for 4 or 5 years, we just continually got kicked in the ribs. And we've had some price improvement over the last few months. It was like we were all finally able to start getting up off the ground, and as we were bent over dusting ourselves off, somebody came and just kicked us in the teeth and knocked us right back down. And it's serious. Look, from the looks of it, as bad as things have been, the potential is for this year to be even worse.
With the fall of America and the pestilence of the COVID-19 pandemic, the reality of famine should awaken us to garden for survival in our own spaces.
Growing food in an urban setting can be challenging because we don't have that much space to grow the food we want. Therefore, I've supplemented my raised beds with containers, and I use a range of different materials: plastic, grow bags, wood, and terracotta containers. In these right here, as you can see, I've got some peppers as well as some eggplants growing right alongside my raised beds. One of my favorite ways to grow herbs is in these small terracotta pots. And the reason for that is that they're portable. So I can bring them into the kitchen whenever I'm cooking, snip off what I need, and bring it right back outside. And this is also a great way for someone to start growing their own food. If they don't have a backyard, you could do this right on a balcony. Another innovative way to take advantage of your small space is to use rain gutters as a way to grow food. These are galvanized steel rain gutters that I will grow radish in the spring, bush beans in the summer, and radish again in the fall.
Small spaces make it ideal to grow vertically, which means planting tall plants like beans, okra, and tomato.
This is a tomato plant on its last leg. So this is what tomato plants end up going through their process in the fall. So we've harvested literally thousands of tomatoes from these plants. This has been a great year for us in tomatoes.
Whatever container you choose for your garden, remember that drainage holes are essential. Without proper drainage, soil can become waterlogged and plants may die.
Today we have special co-host Tariqa Shakir Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to have this discussion about urban gardening.
Awesome. And for Engine of the Nation today, we have a little twist. I believe that you're going to be asking me some questions.
I sure am. As a matter of fact, I want to start off with getting to know who you are and how did you get into agriculture?
Thank you. My family and I are products of Time and What Must Be Done, number 36. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan inspired our family to step out on faith. And so we moved from a 30-foot yard in a subdivision to a 31-acre farm in 2014. With zero experience, only a belief in the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the fact that we know we wanted to do something different. And so my wife and I, Sister Ishtar Muhammad, pulled our resources, our little resources together, and we purchased a farm right outside of Atlanta, Georgia. When we initially got the farm, as you see right here, there were several brothers who decided to purchase some cows. With zero experience. I mean, we had no idea about the cows. We met my now mentor, Wayne Swanson, and he allowed us to put the cows on his land and kind of learn from him step by step, day by day. And so 6 years later, we have a very respectable sized garden. We have about 25 horses, about 40 sheep, about 2 dozen chickens, about an acre and a half worth of garden that we maintain. And then we have agritourism that's here almost 7 days a week.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the tourism part? Because if I were to come by and just wanted to see the farm and how it look, how does that work out? What am I expected to see?
Yeah, so the tourism part started with us. People just, like, hey, a young Black family with a farm, like, oh, I want to come see it. And so we will have people come by and just ask questions. We'll walk them around the farm. And then it went from an individual to families, then it went to schools, and then people wanted to book our farm for different events. And so we had to, slow down and say, you know what, this is not only our home, but it actually is a business. And so we had to change our lens to a business model and begin to function as a business. And so on a typical farm tour, we'll start everyone off in the garden, depending on the season. In that October, November, we allow people to pick fresh pecans. We have 7 pecan trees in our front yard and about 18 pecan trees on the property. We have fruit trees from apple, pear, pomegranate, muscadines, fig trees, persimmon trees, where people can pick from there. We also allow them to come into the garden, and we always keep lettuce. So romaine lettuce, Swiss chard, butterhead lettuce, and then your different varieties of tomatoes. And you're going to see chickens walking around. We have transitioned to where we do not keep our chickens in a coop. My chickens are, we don't. My chickens actually have a job on the farm, and their farm is to keep down the insect load. And so we literally let them roam the entire property. And when you come to our property, you don't see flies and things that you would typically see at a farm because our chickens do their job. And then we allow you all to pet the different animals and get up close and personal with them.
Oh, that's even more. That makes the experience a lot more personal when you get to kind of interact with the animals and things like that. Is that part of it where you can chase the chickens around?
Oh, yes. One of the biggest takeaways and the goal of anyone that visits our farm is to first let us know that it is doable, right? Just like ourselves, when we thought about the farm, we're thinking, oh, we got to have $1 million and we got to have this inheritance and we have to, be able to qualify for a perfect loan. And so what I encourage families is it's doable. With just a little money saved, you can qualify for a farm. And if you look at the farm as a house with a big backyard, then it changes your perspective. Okay. And so to date, we are at our 13th family that has moved on a farm since we purchased our farm and been inspired since 2014.
Oh, that's really impressive. I wanted to get into a couple of the challenges because from someone like me, my backyard is decent enough to start like an urban farm or something like that. But then again, I'm going to come across a lot of challenges that I would like to know if you experienced it, and for our listeners, if they're going to run into those issues as well.
Absolutely. One of the takeaways that I've learned from the farm is failing forward. Okay. You're going to fail at many aspects of this new venture, oftentimes daily, oftentimes weekly, monthly, yearly. But as long as you are failing forward, then you are always making progress. And so we have to look at those failures as opportunities to learn from them and never make that same mistake again. So there's a couple simple rules that we have at our house. Never go through a gate and don't close it. You say, brother, that's simple. Well, the reason you don't go through a gate and don't close it is you're going to get distracted that next 10 feet, that next 20 feet, that next 3 acres, the next 5 acres that you just went through. And if you didn't close that gate, then everything is trying to see what's on the other side. The grass is green on the other side of the road, right? And so from your cows to your chickens to your dogs, those things can happen from you just not closing the gate. You have to learn that life and death travel on the same path. You could see something full of life in the morning, and in a couple hours, it could be, absent of life. And so we've had to learn the beauty of life and the necessity of death. In the garden, you're going to have those times where your tomatoes are beautiful, right? And if you don't pick them at the right time, all the insects realize they're beautiful as well. And so you come out the next day and that luscious
Yeah.
red tomato is full of holes, right? And so those are not enough challenges for you to stop. Okay. A lazy man or woman will not be successful farming because there is no quitting in farming. There's no days off in farming. Now, I don't say that as it's so laborious that you're not going to enjoy it, but it becomes part of your daily routine and the energy that you receive for being responsible. Like right now, we're responsible for like 83 lives, right? Every day. And so that's from making sure that the water is cut on and cut off at the right time, making sure they have enough hay, making sure we rotated the pasture so they eat all the grass and now they're standing in the mud, making sure on the rainy days that you move the horses to higher ground.
Right.
And so just those simple things like that are principles that we've learned along the way in failing forward.
So what would you say to somebody? I've heard this excuse many times before, but for somebody who says, "Well, I don't have a
Mhm.
green thumb," they may have the energy, they want to do it, the passion, and they think it's a great idea, but they think that any plant that comes in their hands is just going to die.
Well, that's the part that I would like to dispel. You don't have a green thumb. Allah is the master of all coloring, right? And so he's the one that determines what will grow, when it grows, how it grows. We just become the stewards to aid in his mighty work. Okay, so it doesn't matter if I paid $1 million for my property, if I paid $1,000 for my property, or if I'm in the backyard. If I have the right medium, meaning the soil, and I have a seed, and I put that seed in that medium, and it gets the right amount of sunlight and the right amount of water, it's going to grow no matter what my thumbs look like. And so we have to trust the process. Allah created a process that the seed has to go through, a process that the flowering has to go through, a process that the bees have to do. Those things follow their course and they do not deviate. We have to just make sure that we do not interfere with Allah's plan already. And if we just become partners with Allah, then you can grow everything that you need in your windowsill, on your patio, in your balcony. There is no excuse
Hmm.
for growing food. And we believe that we can teach you to grow whatever you are in whatever space that you have.
Very inspiring. Very, very. And so the hashtag falling forward, hashtag let go, let God for your next plan in urban farming. And speaking of Faith Farms, what are the goals? Let's talk about the goals for Faith Farm in the future, especially with 2021.
The future is to both my wife and I are educators in the public school arena. And so, and then my mom is recently moved to our property. She has a home on our property from East St. Louis, Illinois. And so the goal is to keep those two young ladies free to where they can work exclusively from the farm. The way that we're doing that is beginning to teach online and physical classes on campus, or not on campus, at the farm. It's big enough to be a campus sometimes, at the farm. And so from canning classes to sewing classes, how to harvest your own fiber, to horseback riding, to animal husbandry, to the production of grass-fed beef and lamb, to making your own growing boxes and raised beds. Our
Mm-hmm.
farm has to be the blueprint on how to do it wherever you are. And so our goal is to, and I think I allowed me to say a campus, because the goal is to allow this to be a teaching forum to where people from all around the country can come and learn and go back and implement it where they are.
Very inspirational. Thank you, sir. Now, I'm personally very excited about the horseback riding and the canning, as well as the husbandry with the farm. I mean, those are skills that you later on you start to see the benefit of that can benefit you for years and years and years to come. It's very helpful no matter where you go or where you're from.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Farming is recession proof.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's a necessity. And so our goal is to make sure we are teaching the next generation of how beneficial it is to get back to the farm.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we're going to take our first commercial break, and then we'll be right back with Brother Patrick here, talk about Faith Farms.
National Network View was recently banned from the media platform YouTube.com. Within 12 hours, the NNV IT department quickly sprung into action with an independent service system to back NNVnews.com. The nation's news network is now streaming content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As we extend gratitude for the believers' financial support through donations, this media activism will not stop. Please continue to be a part of a force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Donate to NNV News. This is Clifton Muhammad with National Network View.
Okay, it looks like we're back from our commercial break. We have Brother Patrick here from Faith Farms. And wait, tell us again, where's this from for our audience who doesn't know? Where is Faith Farms?
Yes, our farm is located about 15 minutes outside of Metro Atlanta, near the Atlanta airport. And again, it's a 31-acre farm, and we do have a donkey. His name is Freedom. So we say 31 acres and a mule, and then we'll work on the other 9 acres later on. Yeah, so right outside of Atlanta.
Okay, well, for somebody like myself who doesn't live near the airport, it's a very tight squeeze. But I can just imagine for somebody who say who just has like a balcony to practice farming with, what would be a suggestion to them?
Yes, so if you have a balcony, and there's a couple of things that I would like to share. So I believe in the adage that your cup runneth over if you're pouring it out. Okay, so if I'm covering up my cup, I'm covering up my blessings. But if I'm consistently pouring out, then I give Allah the opportunity to continue to fill in. So I'm going to give the listening audience and the viewing audience just a couple nuggets. So there's a website called Banner Greenhouse, and that's BANNER greenhouse.com. 100% organic vegetable seedlings that you can order no matter where you are in the country. Okay, you bring in those seedlings. They're 100% organic. They've already started. They're going to be 3 to 5 inches once you receive them. That's going to give you that necessary jump start to have some success, because the moment that you don't have success, you get defeated and I'm not going to do this, right? But this way you can start and get a little success. You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's or anywhere that has 5-gallon buckets. Okay, you're going to take those 5-gallon buckets. You're going to add a little soil in the bottom. You're going to add your seedlings there. You're going to add a little water, and you're going to sit it on your balcony. And you're going to be guaranteed to be successful, right? Because again, you're taking what you have and you're putting it in Allah's hands. Let him do the rest, right? Farming is easy. We just have to put it there. And once we put it there, it's going to do what's necessary to be successful. But you can do that also on our website. If you go to yourfaithfarms.com, we have a sweet and spice package to where we provide you with certain soil, and then we provide you with seeds that are herbs so that you can plant them in to be successful. So try it. If you're not successful, you analyze it, see what happened, and you can do it again. But you can start with the 5-gallon bucket on your balcony.
Well, that's very convenient. It's like a gardening 101. all in one compact place.
Yes,
Very
ma'am. And as our report shared this morning, just make sure you put a couple holes in the bottom of the bucket for drainage. You'll be fine.
I've heard a tip to put rocks at the bottom of it. What might that do? Would that help in?
That prevents the water from settling in one spot. So you won't have disease or dis-ease, right? So you need that friction going on. And so it'll allow the water to continue to drain. It also gives the roots of the plant somewhere to hold on to, okay? So they can wrap around those rocks and keep on growing. And as the roots go down, the plant goes up.
Praise be to Allah. And seasonally, are we talking, I can go to the website and I can purchase some seedlings and just purchase them, plant them at any time of the year?
So a couple rules of thumb. The entire country, if you buy any seeds, you can go to Dollar Tree and buy some seeds. You look on the back, it's going to give you your zones. And the zones just represent the zone of the country that you are and how the weather pattern is. So you look there and you'll see what zone that you're in. But I highly, highly, highly recommend that whatever kind of gardening you're going to start and you want to start for this year, this is the time to begin to get your seeds. So literally, like, go bum rush Dollar Tree right now, okay? Home Depot and Lowe's, because it's not the growing season. So they're going to have things on the shelves, probably going to be discounted, or marked down because it's not in season. This is when you want to go get it. There's places like Johnny Seeds that you can order some seedlings from, and try your best to get organic if you can. But if not, you get what you can afford right now. So you want to begin, once you look at remember, you see the Farmer's Almanac at every grocery store. People always pass it by because it's next to Reader's Digest. Like, what is that, right? So you go ahead and you get your Farmer's Almanac. And the reason that you get your Farmer's Almanac, you want to kind of study. You don't get too deep, but just kind of study the cycles of the moon so you know where to plant. But you want to get your seeds now because the seeds are going to go into the ground at a certain time of the year, and then your seedlings that you're growing in the house will go after the frost. You put them inside the ground. So whatever the last frost is in your area, that's when you put your seedlings down. The minister also talks to us about the importance of vitamin D. So vitamin D is necessary for our plants and for us. And the more you get outside to garden, the more that you expose yourself to the benefit of vitamin D. And I believe the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan has shared something with us about that. We might
for the COVID virus. And that's why it's killing us. But it's not that we don't have the means to do that. We don't really need a vaccine. We need more vitamin D. Hey, brothers and sisters, I have my African sister talking earlier. We're talking about our people in the Caribbean, in the little island that my mother is from. I think they had 15 deaths from the COVID virus. Do you know why the virus is not hitting the Caribbean like it's hitting America and Europe? Because we live in the sun. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told me that in the sun there are billions of vitamins that you can't get in anything that is created except through the sun. So when you live on the inside and don't go out in the sun, have no love for the sun to lay in it and bathe in it, my teacher taught me, take a bath at least once a year in the sun. Go someplace where you can take your clothes off and turn again. And when you've turned enough, your body has accepted billions of vitamins into it. And when the day of disease comes, the vitamins rise up to defend us against disease.
Very beautiful message there.
Yes, yes, yes. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, of course, he has inspired us and the world for years. And one of the keys to time of what must be done, number 36, farming is the engine of our national life. And so if we
Yes.
just think about any kind of vehicle, we can have a Lamborghini, you can have the new Rolls Royce Bentley truck, but if that engine is not functioning, then that body, that piece of metal is worthless. And so, if, and we have been taught that it is, farming is the engine for our national life, then we have to focus on those who are taking the risk, the noble task and job of farming, because it's a skill that's necessary to sustain our lives. And
Mhm.
so my family was blessed when COVID first hit that we were able to walk, 30 feet outside our doors and pick fresh lettuce every day and make us, we didn't have to go to the grocery store, right? By God's grace, right? And so, yes, we have meat in our freezer that we can have our meat and have our vegetables. I don't do raw milk right now as with dairy cows, but we're able to have our own well, and our well water is alkaline, come out of the ground. And so we have this for us, but we share it with the believers in the community.
Right.
But if it's the engine, the more of us that are doing it around the nation, then
Yeah.
our national life can really be successful.
Yes, sir. And just think about how self-sufficient you would be. I mean, to just be able to go inside your own refrigerator and pick up what you need from growing in your own farm, that right there is like a declaration of independence. You don't have to depend on anybody
Yes,
to get your food, which is
yes,
very important.
absolutely, absolutely. And when you can taste something, so just imagine when you go to the grocery store, we try to buy fresh and buy. Well, when you pick it up and turn it over and it says Peru, or it says Mexico, or it says Guatemala, right? So how long does it take to get from to Chicago from Peru, Atlanta, right? But if I can walk out or drive to my local farm within my city and get fresh, it hasn't lost any value at that moment and what it does to your body. So that's why I encourage everyone to grow where you are. If it's nothing more than the spices that you need for the beautiful meals that our MGT make, if those spices are grown on your windowsill, that's one step closer. If you can step outside and instead of having these well manicured lawns, it still should be nice, but you can plant in those well manicured lawns your vegetables right there and make it look nice and decorative, but you can pull from right there. It doesn't take a lot of space. It just takes the will and the belief in Almighty God Allah that He will make that seed grow for you and your family, and He will.
Mhm. Yes, sir. Or you can go out in your balcony and pull from the herbs that you're now growing. And there's no debate that
Yes.
freshly grown vegetables and herbs and things like that taste 10 times better than anything you can get from the
Mhm.
store. Even the smell is very different. I mean, if you go to your
Mhm.
farmer's market and get foods from there, you will tell the difference. It's more potent, it's more, it
Mhm.
smells more fresh, and the flavors is completely different from what you will ever get from a supermarket.
Yes, yes. And as someone that grew up in the inner city, I encourage the people who are viewing, take your children to a farm. Let them smell the farm. Let them see the farm. Let them see the animals and touch the animals. And especially during this time when you can't do anything indoors, you truly can go to a farm because it's outdoors. You get that vitamin D and have that experience.
Exactly.
Mm. Okay. So at this time, we're going to go to advertisement from the final call.
National Network.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
Greetings. This is Tarika Shakir Muhammad with National Network View. This week's final call cover story reads American Mayhem. Last week at the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., thousands of Trump supporters gathered to show their support for President Donald Trump's claims of election fraud. The question is, can America survive insurrection? The U.S. faces building anger, disappointment, and extreme levels of discontent. To read more, subscribe at finalcalldigital.com, and thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below, follow us on social media, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. This is Tarika Shakir Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
Who was that? Gave us
Right, that
okay.
report, that person looked for and sounded very familiar.
Yeah, she sure did. Yeah, she had the same glasses on. I don't know if we went to the same shop or whatnot. Very okay. I'll have to meet her someday.
Yes.
Okay.
One of the things that I would encourage, Sister Tariq, is to find your local experts, in your area. And I would like to highlight two. One that I've studied up close and one I've studied from afar. I've been blessed to be able to study from Brother Rashid Nuri. This is his book. I'm trying to put in the camera.
Excellent.
This is his new book, Growing Out Loud. Brother Rashid Nuri actually ran the Nation of Islam farm in the 70s. And he is I don't want to age him, but he is the father. I'm not going to call him the godfather, grandfather, but he is the father of urban agriculture in the metro Atlanta area. Phenomenal resource. So I encourage everybody to learn more about Rashid Nuri and Truly Living Well. And then from afar, I study Leah Penniman, Farming While Black, and from Soul Fire Farms. And I recommend that people begin to study Farming While Black from Leah Penniman. And then when you are in the grocery store and you're buying all the vegetables, go down the magazine aisle. Now, I don't get any affiliates from this, but go down the magazine aisle. There's always magazines on gardening and farming. They're never purchased, right? They're like $4 and they're always there. Go ahead and pick them up, take them home, and just read the little articles. There's so much wisdom right there for $5 a month.
Yes, please do. I've even seen an article that if you actually go down there, there's a lot more information than you would think. They even have like a magazine on surviving in the woods, everything from cutting wood, how to shape it, and build your own house, whatnot. I was like, this was not on CBS.
Oh, you're like us.
Yes.
We have those. Look, I have a stack behind me, probably about 100 magazines.
I have a stack too.
Yes. But that little bitty nuggets of wisdom that we can gain, and you apply it with yourself when you can. So like we're working now to eventually get our own sawmill, and not this huge sawmill, but from a chainsaw and about a 20-foot apparatus, we can harvest our own wood. And so as you see right there, I'm building 20 horse stalls for our borders because we have many families now that have purchased horses from us. They don't have anywhere to keep them, but they keep them here. So we're building stalls for them now. So instead of me going to Home Depot in the future, we'll be able to take a tree from here, cut the tree down, and not bring it home and sprinkle it with silver and gold, but we're going to cut it down and turn it into a structure that's going to make revenue for years to come.
Wow, that is very resourceful. You even have to think to do something like that. I mean, of course, unless you're a farmer, learning to farm.
Yes. And as the minister has taught us, the cattle is 100% profit, right? And so what else is profitable on the farm? So people don't think of horse manure and cow manure as money, but you go to Home Depot and you buy a bag of soil called black cow, which is cow manure. It is cows have 4 stomachs. They eat grass. Okay. And so they process the grass 4 different times. So if grass does not have an odor going in, you process it 4 times, it's not going to have an odor coming out. Right. But that waste that comes from the cattle is extremely beneficial as it's aged to go right back into your garden for your fruits and vegetables. So we have a market for our cow manure and our horse manure as well on the.
Praise be to Allah. Note to our audience, you're not going to need a gas mask when you purchase that bag and bring it out to you and introduce it.
No. If you go to a farm that that are practicing sustainable practices, there is no odor because everything that's supposed to work is working. So my chickens are going behind the manure and scratching through the manure, and then they're eating the bugs. The cows are eating directly from the land, and they know in the morning what they want to eat, in the afternoon what they want to eat. So they move with the sun, and they'll choose to eat the grass at particular times of the day. If they have an upset stomach, the cow knows where to go on the property to find that necessary plant to aid their upset stomach. It's a beautiful process.
That is beautiful.
That Allah has created. And if we slow down and marvel at his majesty and begin to work in harmony with God, then we can tap into our create and God-like attributes and begin to be an aider and helper to Almighty God Allah.
Yes, sir. Beautifully put, sir. And in fact, you're inspiring me very much to get more into farming. And even though I have a small backyard, whatever I have to do, especially to get outside, because being inside all day can really get to you. It's a good excuse to go outside yes, and be self-sufficient. That's the biggest thing for me.
And for our families that don't have a land at the moment, encourage all families to find a pet, meaning a goldfish, a gerbil, or ferret, a dog, a cat, a rabbit, for their children to help teach the responsibility and the value of life. When children understand the value of life, any life, then they begin to appreciate the value and the majesty of human life. And so if we do have dominion over the beast and the fish and the fowl, and what that means is I can have my 9-year-old walk into a pasture with 15 horses, and he does not have to fear because he's learned how to respect them and they respect him. I can take my 16-year-old and put him into a pasture where there's bulls, and he respects them, they respect him. And so when you teach the true essence of all life, then these animals submit to you and allow you to have dominion over them. And so when you come to our farm, you don't see us hitting on the animals, and there's no electricity shocking the animals. We treat everything with love, and they reciprocate that love back to us. And so I would encourage our families out there to get some kind of small life that your children can take the responsibility of maintaining, and you will see how that transcends to other things in their lives.
Oh, that is so beautiful. It's like a loving ecosystem.
Yes.
Well, Brother Patrick, are there any other closing remarks or comments that you would like to feed to our audience? Even though you gave us like 3 days worth of material that we can use.
I would just again publicly like to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for his many years in sacrifice and how he has inspired not only myself and my family, but people all around the world. I would encourage people to go to YouTube and type in Time and What Must Be Done, number 36, and watch that video and be inspired from there. I would encourage you to find your local farmer, and if nothing else, go by one day and say, hey, I was just coming by to lend you a hand and shovel or pick up some leaves or get in the garden because it would truly change your life. And then to visit yourfaithfarms.com, and it's yourfaithfarms.com. The reason it's named Your is, of course, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad named many of our businesses Your, because it's all of ours. And our farm is Your Faith Farms, plural, because we believe that our farm is just a blueprint to help others along the way to be inspired to acquire their farm as well. And then you can go to our website. We do have some children's books. So like Old MacDonald, this is the principal farmer has a farm. So if you like to have some good bedtime stories for your children.
Yes.
And then, of course, we do have some products there. But again, thank you to NNV News for allowing me to be part of the NNV News family. And thank you to all of our viewers that support us every week with all of our reports from across the nation. We'd like to say thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for tuning into NNV News.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
It's a truth universally acknowledged.
That doesn't make me racist.
The decline.
Greetings, this is Clifton Muhammad with National Network View.